Thailand and Cambodia have agreed to an unconditional ceasefire after 5 days of deadly clashes along their border. The truce takes effect at midnight local time. The announcement came in a joint statement after talks mediated by Malaysia.
Both Cambodia and Thailand reached a common understanding as follows. 1. An immediate and unconditional ceasefire with effect from 24 hours local time, midnight, on 28th July 2025, tonight. This is a vital first step towards a de-escalation and the restoration of peace and security.
Thailand's acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet met today at Mr. Anwar's official residence in Putrajaya. US and Chinese ambassadors were also present at this meeting. Both the Thai and Cambodian leaders hailed what they described as positive talks with a good outcome.
We hope that the solutions that Prime Minister Anwar just announced will set a condition for moving forward for our bilateral discussion to return to normalcy of the relationship and as a foundation for future de-escalation of forces.
Today's outcome reflects Thailand's desire for peaceful dissolution, while continuing to protect our sovereignty and the life of our people. We agree to a ceasefire with assurance measures that it will be carried out successfully in good faith by both sides.
And we're joined live by our correspondents on the ground. Melissa Gold standing by in Kuala Lumpur, Jack Bott at an evacuation centre in Buriram, Thailand, and Leong Wai Kit in Oddar Meanchey in Cambodia. I'll start with Melissa Gold first in Kuala Lumpur. Melissa, we heard from the two leaders there, Thailand and Cambodia, and also mediator, the Malaysian Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim. That was a good outcome. But what went on at those talks that led to this positive outcome?
Now, first of all, it's not easy to convene the meeting in such a short notice. But despite the calls, the repeated pleas from ASEAN, from China, from US, EU, violence persisted. The bombing continued. So having a face-to-face meeting really pushed both sides to speak from their hearts. And US is said to have coordinated this meeting with ASEAN. Malaysia is the ASEAN chair, the host. And also we saw active participation from China. Now, the result was hailed as positive all round. For starters, both sides agreed in principle to reach immediate and unconditional ceasefire with effect from 24 hours starting tonight. It's the first step, Mr. Anwar said, who's a mediator, towards restoring peace. And tomorrow, first thing in the morning at 7, both sides, their military regional commanders will meet, followed by a defense attaché, while the General Border Committee meeting will be held on the 4th of August, hosted by Cambodian Prime Minister as chair. Malaysia, Mr. Anwar says, will coordinate an observer team, and this is crucial, from the ASEAN member countries to ensure the ceasefire is complied. Now, more importantly, 3 countries, the foreign and the defense ministers, will also work out a mechanism that's going to be the foundation, Mr. Anwar said, to ensure that the ceasefire lasts. And this is what he said during the press conference.
The foreign ministers and defense ministers of Malaysia, Cambodia and Thailand have been instructed to develop a detailed mechanism for the implementation, verification and reporting of the ceasefire. This mechanism will serve as a foundation for sustained peace and accountability.
Now, it's unclear when the withdrawal of troops will begin for both sides, pending discussion of the military commanders. But both Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and Thai Acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai, for starters, promised to resume direct negotiations, direct communications to de-escalate tensions and try to restore some form of normalcy for the people.
Melissa, we heard Mr. Anwar say this unconditional ceasefire, just a first step. You then need Malaysian, Cambodian and Thai defence and foreign ministers to develop a mechanism to implement and monitor this ceasefire. Apart from that, we've had hundreds of thousands of people being displaced. So that needs management as well. What other steps are there now that we have this first positive outcome of an unconditional ceasefire?
Well, the starting point, there must be a ceasefire before any negotiation can happen. So it's absolutely crucial next few days to see whether this fire can hold, whether leaders can walk the talk. Getting the mechanism right is so crucial as well as this observers team that must come from within ASEAN. Some of the, the political observers are saying it's important that ASEAN take the lead in this and to prevent any form of interference or, other form of intervention from third parties. While the ceasefire, whether will hold for discussions to take place, it remains to be seen. Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Manet, pointed out that the task of rebuilding trust and confidence as well as cooperation, it's still a long way to go, and this is just the beginning.
We hope that, and I confidently believe that the result that we have today will provide a lot of opportunities for hundreds of thousands of people on both sides to return to normalcy and the stop of fighting between our two countries, and a time to start rebuilding trust and confidence and cooperation going forward between Cambodia and Thailand.
Thanks, Melissa Gold. Looking at talks held in Kuala Lumpur that have led to this unconditional ceasefire that will start midnight local time. Let's now cross to Jack Bort, who is at an evacuation centre in Buriram province in Thailand, and Wai Kit. He's in Oddar Meanchey province in Cambodia. Let's start with you, Jack. Obviously, there would be relief in many who are in that evacuation centre in Buriram province in Thailand.
You might have expected a wave of relief to have washed over the 20,000 or so people who are sheltering here at the Chang International Circuit in Buriram province on the news of this unconditional ceasefire. I have to say, the general feeling here has been somewhat contrary to that. We've been going around speaking to people lining up for their dinners, lining up for their showers, preparing to settle in for the night on basic mats here on concrete floors. Many of them were completely unaware of the political machinations happening over in Malaysia and the implications for what that means for them over the next 24 or 48 hours. So you have those who are still completely in the dark, you have those who don't trust the news, and you also have those who, frankly, don't trust the Cambodian military, which has been framed to them as the enemy, has been close to their homes on the other side of the international border over the past few weeks and months and years. You have a general feeling of people being traumatised by these events, especially what happened on Thursday when the fiercest fighting was happening. You also have people who are jaded after years of this conflict, the cyclical nature of it, and them being embroiled in it over and over again. So certainly mixed feelings here. Take a listen to what some of the people we spoke to had to say.
ถ้าจะอยากให้กลับจริงๆก็คือเหตุการณ์ต้องนิ่งเลยนิ่งยังไงในความหมายของพี่เขามานิ่งในความหมายของพี่ขนาดวันนี้ที่ว่าจะมีการเจรจาเขาก็ยังยิงมาฝั่งเราเยอะ
ก็เคยหลายปีแบบนี้แหละเจรจาก็เจรจาทั้งโน้นทั้งนี้แล้วเหมือนเดิมนี่แหละกลัวตัวนี้แหละมันทำงานเพลินๆแล้วก็เอาละปัดถ้ามันหยุดเจรจาก็ให้เอาระเบิดออกจากพื้นที่แถวๆนั้นด้วย
So we haven't seen a rush of people choosing to move away from this place back to their homes. As I mentioned, this is an internationally recognised race track. It hosts the highly prestigious MotoGP race every year. What we've seen here is the pit straight converted into a place for people to dry their clothes. We've seen children playing on the tarmac and people sleeping in the garages. I have to say I've been to my fair share of evacuation sites over the years. This one does seem to be working quite effectively. People do seem content, they're being fed, they're being showered, they have water, they have ventilation. And I think as far as this situation goes, it's about as much as people could hope for, except for that ceasefire to really hold so they can resume their normal lives.
Oh, thanks for that. Jack, Wai Kit, who is on the Cambodian side, he's in Oddar Meanchey province in Cambodia. Wai Kit, we heard Jack say the relief that we might have imagined many at that centre should have felt, they have instead rather mixed feelings. They're uncertain about what could happen next. How is the situation for you where you are at in Cambodia?
Right, I must say that as we were preparing for this live cross, Wesu, my team and I heard the familiar sounds of shelling. We are about some 50 to 70 kilometers away from the border areas where violent fighting seems to be still persisting. Villagers have confirmed that the sounds we heard earlier were sounds of shelling. They've heard this for the last 4 or 5 days. But the prospects of the truce starting at midnight would surely be music to many of these displaced Cambodians' ears. When we got here, in this part of Cambodia, the villagers have told us that since 3 a.m. on Monday, they've been hearing sounds of shelling and bombings, and they recur once every 10 minutes and stopped only in the afternoon. We heard them too as well when we were here in the afternoon. And this anecdote shared by these villagers are very much in line with what Cambodia is saying. The Defense Ministry has accused Thailand of starting heavy artillery fighting from 3 in the morning, persisting throughout large parts of the day. Now, when I moved further into the relief campsite, now I'm quite far away from the campsite because we have connection issues, but when I moved further into the campsite to speak with residents, one of the women I spoke to had experienced being displaced back in 2011. There was also when violent clashes happened between Cambodia and Thailand, but back then in 2011 she stayed out only for about a few days. This time around, she said the key difference is there's a lot more uncertainty. She doesn't have clarity, she doesn't know when she can go back. So the potential ceasefire is going to strike a chord with many residents. Now, I must say what struck me when I visited the relief campsites is that the general mood is quite upbeat despite the challenging conditions. I mean, we stand out like sore thumbs. My camera crew and I stand out like sore thumbs. People looked at us, they waved, they smiled at us, and people helped one another. We bumped into also a group of volunteers who had driven from Phnom Penh to this part of Cambodia to distribute dried food and ration to villagers here. Now, many people are keeping their fingers crossed as to whether or not the truce will hold. The first physical indication would be whether or not the nights remain silent.
All right, thanks for that, Wai Kit. That's Jack Bord in Buriram, Thailand, and Wai Kit in Oddar Meanchey province in Cambodia, looking at this 5 days of clashes that have displaced some 300,000 villagers on both sides. Thanks for that, both of you.